They've finally given me time off from Papa's Sandwicheria, so I am making videos that are in my backlog. A long time ago, I made that some characters shouldn't be meta tier, not tier list. That's what we're doing today. Some characters shouldn't be meta video, and I want to let you guys know right now, this is not a video about these characters are meta and they need to be nerfed. I am saying that theoretically, fundamentally, some characters should not be meta. Either they are too easy or they're too uninteractable. Right? It's too you can't really interact with it, especially when over half the roster can't interact with them. And so this isn't a tier list. I'm just using it as a visual, I guess. It's gonna say tier list in the thumbnail and on the YouTube title. I'm not above that, but that's what that is. Please, I can't have people misunderstanding me again. I am not saying that they are meta right now. I am saying that they shouldn't be because they are too easy or too uninteracted. They can't be interacted with. Now, I've got that underway. Let's start going through it. And it's just in alphabetical order. Adam's sure. Adam's he has a high enough skill ceiling that I think if they buffed him, he could be. Because, let's say Adam's meta. Right? If Adam's meta, it's probably not because he's putting out so much healing that he out-heals Luna and then out-damages DPS too. He's either so much sustain, it's his soul bond, his soul bond, his left click, even the left click, right click, animation cancel, that is all high enough skill ceiling that if he is meta, I'm actually going to put him in short. Okay, because I think if he's meta, he's only meta in triple support, and I was going to say that, but I think the things that would make him meta have a high enough skill ceiling, and you can interact with this character to the point where, like, yeah, he can do it. Because Soul Bond's only every 45 seconds, the res isn't that very good, requires a high skill ceiling on knowing when to use it, how to use it, where to use it, especially on every point of every map. His left click is hit scan, which means it's harder to hit than something like Haymaker, things like that. Same with Angela. I'm actually going to put Angela on high enough skill ceiling. I think most of the dive characters do function as they can be meta with high enough skill ceiling. Because they require a lot of coordination. Only characters that I think if they were buffed, and I'm talking straight numbers buffed, not any sort of rework, just a straight number buff. If they were buffed in that way, they would not be able to solo dive. If I think they were able to solo dive, right? Like I think Daredevil is maybe a sure or a never. Not never, but a certain part. Because he does so much damage. I mean, he has so much overhealth and damage that he can sustain for a long time in the backline. He could solo dive. Like, theoretically, let's say we boosted his numbers to where he was best in select DPS again. He can solo dive, which is why he was so strong in the first place. So I'm probably putting him in certain parts or sure. Because if they increase his damage and lower the bonus health, I think he's fine. If they increase the bonus health, lower the damage, I think he's fine. Because then either both of those give him a certain niche. Either get a feast or famine, get a kill as fast as possible, which I don't think is healthy for the game, but whatever. Or like Captain America, where you stay in the backline as long as possible, you tickle, you disrupt the backline, you have your reflect to reflect stuff, and you do that. But for now, I'm just going in short. Because I do think he can be better. I just think they have to be careful about what they do with it. Black Cat, I think, is only certain parts of the kit. I'm not going to lie, because they did a really good job changing the shop. They changed the orb, the way the wall hacks work. They changed a lot of the stuff in the shop, but the shop just has so much that if she is meta, inherently she can do too many things. There wouldn't be a 1v1 she would lose. She can self-cleanse. She can ground enemies. She has wall hacks. She has an invisibility. She has a portal to create new off angles. She has so much in her kit that if she was meta, she can do everything. Same thing that I think about Gambit. You either have to have an overpowered ult for Gambit or an overpowered base kit. Just because of how his base kit is designed, it has so much in it. It has so much in it that like you just can't really do anything about it unless you, and I'm talking straight numbers buffs, so this comment does not matter, unless you take things out of both of their kits. Realistically, you can't do it just because of how much they do. I mean, even with the new team up one, you get the Mag Gambit team up with the new team ups. You get the Mag Gambit team up where now he has a miniature cloak bubble that also damages and displaces. I've seen that used offensively more than I've seen it used defensively because the healing isn't as high, but the ability to just disrupt and say you can't really stand here because most characters can't walk through that before they get booped out of it. It's really strong, right? He can just do everything. So both of these characters, certain parts of their kit can be meta. Either for Gambit, it's either the ult or the base kit. You can't have both because he would. That's just really unhealthy. For Black Cat, it's either the money side of her kit, or her base kit, like the whip, like the shop removed from her base kit. Because honestly, I think if you buff the numbers a little bit or Prime Black Cat, take away the shop entirely, replace the shop with a you can pay for it invisibility. You use money to pay for it. It's no cooldown except for the money that you use in it, and it's the invis. I think that is pretty fine. I think that's pretty balanced. I think what made her unbalanced was the fact that she could do everything. So her shop is either going to be crazy unbalanced or her base kit could be meta. But either of them, they can't have both. Only certain parts of their kit can be meta at the same time. Black Panther's a never. I said it before. You just can't interact with him. You can't really interact with this character. And the characters who can interact with him by avoiding him, getting banned, or sure, some can counter him, but most characters in the game, like we have this many characters, I would say maybe 14 can interact with him, and there's maybe 5 hard counters. Maybe 5 counters. 1 hard counter, and we're looking at him right here. But he's just so uninteractable that I don't think it's like good for him to be meta in any capacity. He should never be best in slot DPS. Now maybe if they rework him, because I do think he should get a rework, but Strange is a sure for me. I do think he's a little too easy. He's essentially an easier mag, is how I explain it to some people. And I know he functions differently, and he has a different niche. Mag is really good at being a wall, whereas Strange is good at absorbing damage and giving it back to you. Like, his animation cancels, his E. He's just very good at absorbing and releasing energy. That's kind of how I'm going to put it. I know that's just how his kit works, but absorbing and releasing damage, giving you back the damage you dealt into him. But he is just easier than Mag. I don't think his skill ceiling is nearly high enough to be meta or be best in slot tank. And same goes for Dino. Because if you just numbers boost Dino, he's not hard enough to be best in slot tank. Like, I've seen people get on tank who I checked their profile afterwards. Because I was like, dang, he was really, really good. They've never played tank in their life. You just run it down. And Dino's cool. He's fun. He's really fun to play. I don't play him in comp. I'm not good enough for that. I don't think his skill ceiling's super high, but I play him like once a month in quick play because I think it's fun. I don't practice him, so I'm not going to take him into comp. That's my thing. I don't take characters I don't practice into comp. But I don't think his skill ceiling is high enough, at least right now, to be meta. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Black Widow? Same thing. It's sure. Yeah. Oh, but it's hit scan, it's aiming. But like Punisher's not a super high skill ceiling. She's a mid-range DPS with a high fire rate, a stun, and mobility. That's what she is, and we've got like 4 of those, and out of those she shoots the fastest, and I don't think she has the highest skill ceiling out of them, because I think Punisher goes here too. Or here. Probably here. I don't like the shotgun, but if the shotgun got... I actually think it's here, personally. Because straight numbers boost. Let's say we straight numbers boost this character. His shotgun becomes so good that the enemy team kind of just doesn't play tanks, and if they play tank, they only play mag, especially with the new infinite ammo team up. If you straight number boost again, I think he becomes crazy, shotgun, and the AR. Because even in low ranks, because he's like the easiest character to hit your shots on, you just hold and you just track. It's no flicking. There's no like you can just shoot. And I think he'd be so good at just shooting frontline. Is what I'm saying. That in almost every rank, he's just you can only play mag. Mag's kind of your only option. And you can play mag and a diver. I'll play sir. I'll say sure because I think there's skill ceiling and interacting with him. We're actually gonna go back to the start of the list of jumping around. Blade. Sure. I don't know anything about Blade. I know sometimes it feels like he runs me down and he never dies. More recently, after this, like in this season, if I find a good Blade player. But beforehand, I just really don't know much about him. I know his shotgun is absolute buns because I've played him in the practice range. I shit around in the practice range sometimes when talking to my friend. But yeah, I think sure. Cap. Yeah, because like it's sure because this is like I don't fucking know, man. This is like I guess like I'm not a pro player, obviously. Obviously, I know this because I am the casual player base. This is a little more, but yeah, I think he has a high enough skill ceiling. Like there's a pro player who's so good that they don't let him play Captain America, which has to say something because there is a skill ceiling to it. Cloak and Dagger is going to be that. High key. Either her base kit is going to be really strong because of the amount of utility that is in it, or her ultimate should be super strong. I don't think both should ever be super strong, and we're going to get characters that aren't just this. Like, oh, both things shouldn't be super strong, but certain part of the kit shouldn't be meta because if you have a meta ultimate, the ultimate is really good, and I know you can counterplay it, but the Cloak and Dagger can also counterplay around you by just choosing different routes or going into a hidey hole, right? There are counterplays for both people, and I don't think she's super hard to play. I know that's going to be crazy. I do think she's harder than people give her credit for. I think if you want the easiest character to play, I think it's Rocket or Jeff. But I don't think she's super hard to play once you learn how to cycle her cooldowns, which is pretty much the fundamental thing you do for every character. So you learn the basics of the character. You've pretty much learned the character. You learn how to cycle cooldowns. You learn how to mag ult. That's the only thing that is like really unique to her. And cycle cooldowns is unique to her because of the cloak form. Like, when do you use Cloak Fade? When do you not use it? When do you use your Bubble? When do you use your Invincibility form? Things like that. I think those two are the two unique skills that you need for her. You don't need to aim on either version. I don't think she's super hard to play. And so, with the amount of utility that she has in her base kit, plus the amount of utility she can use in her base kit during her ultimate, while her ultimate does tick damage and healing her team, and allowing her team to walk somewhere while being in an ultimate, is all pretty good. I don't think you can have both because of how easy she is. Cyclops, I'm going to go here because I feel like Cyclops is a problem. He does more damage than Moon Knight. Like, I don't know the last time I checked that stat, but I checked the stat one time. He did more damage than Moon Knight. Just overall, in games, he was doing more damage. And that's kind of a problem, because that's Moon Knight's whole shtick. So, either his right click is super strong, or his left click is super strong. And if his left click is super strong, then you have a really good, like, mid-range, mid-range, medium fire rate, 2-tap character that we already have 2 or 3 of, who also has a really easy finisher with his E that ricochets that he doesn't even have to hit you with. It also does like more damage than it's supposed to in crowded hallways. Or maybe it's supposed to be like that. I thought it was a bug at first. With an ultimate that shreds anything with a hit bar, HP bar. And he's hard to die because he has multiple movement abilities. One that gives him a better angle. One that just pushes you away from him and him away from you. So I think if you make the more skill-heavy parts of his kit, so his left click and his shift, the get out of jail free card that I was talking about. If you make those two things really good, I can see him being meta. If you make the other parts of his kit, the ultimate, the right click, the ricochet bounce, if you make those parts the stronger parts of his kit, again, flat damage buffs, but flat numbers boosts. But still, if you make those parts the stronger parts of his kit, the more meta stuff in his kit, and he is best at slot for those reasons, then it's not good because it's not a high enough skill ceiling to warrant him being meta like that. Deadpool's a shark. He pisses me off. They nerfed his guns and DPS pool, and they've gotten so good that they just kind of bounce around. I think he's interactable, right? He just pisses me off. That's pretty much it. He's probably high enough skill ceiling. Like, I'll concede. I think there's a lot of this that gets muddied, goes back and forth. But because this shore, you know what? We don't need this. We don't need this. This is all we need. 1, 2, and 3. Elsa Bloodstone. Sure. I think the skill ceiling on Elsa Bloodstone is higher than most people think it is. I do think she's really strong because of that, especially the higher up you go. People are better at putting in inputs, people are better at tracking, people are better at everything, and all those stuff apply to Elsa. And, like, you can even take off angles on Elsa. Elsa has combos that you can use. People get better at all of these things, and because they're better at all of these things, it makes them better at Elsa, and Elsa is just really good for that reason. I think Elsa can be meta. If Elsa was best in slot, it's not like I could just pick up Elsa tomorrow and be the best character in the game, right? I would still have to practice. I would have to practice my aim. I would have to practice my game sense, because she has specific game sense that's for her. The ult is the only thing that I would really say shouldn't be super meta, because it is just not very fun to play against. It has a really short startup time. It can grab every single character, and then you don't get to play the game for 6 seconds and you die. Not very fun, but there is some skill in interacting, knowing that they have ultimate, and knowing, oh, I shouldn't stand down main while they have ultimate, right? So there is some of that. I don't know. I think it's a sure. Same with Emma, because they've increased the cooldown so much of the diamond form from launch, and certain parts of her kit are just stronger, and some are weaker. I think she functions a little differently than she did at launch. At launch, you would just use diamond form whenever to get your picks whenever, because it was that strong, that oppressive. Even if you hit a tank with it, I don't think it has that energy anymore, and I think the cooldown is so high that you really have to be locked into when and how you are using these cooldowns, when and how you are using that diamond form specifically, because 15 seconds is a long time in this game to wait. If they decide to push you and you don't have that, you kind of can't do anything, right? So I do think that. I'm going to say it again. I don't like the Ironwood Wall giving you CC immunity. I think it is the thing that made him super strong. If instead we took that away, take away the Ironwood Wall giving him complete immunity to all CC, and instead of that, we go, okay, Groot, we're going to give you flat damage, flat numbers boost to your defense, and to the amount of bonus health that Ironwood Wall gives you. I think that is a much, much better idea, because why does it do that? And I had somebody in a comment when I said, oh, that's a bad idea, it's what made him meta. Oh, but I would never play Groot if he got so many CCs. It's CC. Like, the CCs are the problem. Yes, that's not... When you say that, you are kind of saying that, oh yeah, none of the other tanks struggle against CC. That's not a problem that should be fixed by giving a character CC immunity. That should be a problem that gets fixed by a better tenacity system, a tenacity system that works and does what it's supposed to when focused on tanks. Because if, no matter what, if they create a CC tenacity system for every character in the game, and they don't just focus on tanks, it will not work for what it's supposed to. And we saw that with the last one. Because any DPS who is stunned 3-4 times in a row, or by multiple characters, or pulled, and then pulled, pushed, and pushed again, they are dead. They are dead. They're not surviving. At least with a tank, you go, okay, after that first one, 10% less, then 10% less, 10% less, until you hit 100, and at last, it starts decaying after like 2 seconds, maybe. I don't know. I'm just spitballing. It's random shit. But you could survive. A DPS is already dead. A tank, by the time the CCs are over, I still have like half my health, maybe. I have the DPS's full health bar, if on most times. Sometimes I have more. I have defensive tools that I can use to escape and get out if I don't get CC'd 5 more times. I've been CC'd for a total of 10 seconds, all at once, in one life. I got grabbed by Bucky, pushed by Bucky. I got pulled by Sue, and then I got grabbed by Elsa Bloodstone Ultimate. There wasn't anything I could do. I'm just stuck, right? That's not a problem that should be solved by his Ironwood wall. I think they need to take that off and give him a flat damage boost. They do that, I'm putting him in shore. But until they do that, that Ironwood wall giving him CC immunity as their cop-out for not having any sort of good tenacity system that works makes him to the point where I say, well, he can't be meta. I don't think he can be meta for his walls. I think you have to, if you were going to make him meta, it can't be the Ironwood wall. I just think that's how it works. And that's my opinion. You can disagree with me, but that's my opinion. They gotta rework that motherfucker. They have so much emphasis in the one tap headshot that you genuinely cannot do anything else as a kit. That shouldn't be meta. Even if it's like it does 2/3 of their health. From there, you can then give him a kit. You can give him stuff that isn't just the headshot. He has explosive arrows. FYI. And nobody uses them because they're ass. Because even I went to the practice range. I stood right up next to somebody, pulled it back, max drop, bam, right into that person's head. It hit them in the head directly. All 3 explosions. It didn't do half the damage of a fully charged headshot. You cannot buff the rest of this man's kit unless you get rid of that. And I don't think his one-tap headshot should be meta. Everybody has seen that. We've all hated it. Hela is a shore. I might have gone certain parts of the kit earlier, but I do think now that there are more characters, there are more things to deal with a Hela. Unless you're playing tank, then you just play shields, but that is kind of the name of the game when you're playing tank. I don't care. There's a lot in the game that can deal with a Hela, that can deal with a Phoenix. I think it's fine. And that's pretty much it, yeah. I really don't have much to say about it. I do think that they're kind of balanced. Their team ups don't do as much. Actually, you're gonna go and show certain parts of the kids. I'm changing that because I thought about team ups. I went, oh my goodness, team ups. The Hela Namor team up is crazy good. But I think I've won against Hela Namor without matching it. I think if Hela was best in slot, sure, they should rework that team up a little bit. They should make it a little weaker. The base. The problem with it is not that because I actually don't think Hela's broken. I think Hela, you ban Hela because she enables like 4 good team ups and has a good team up with Namor. And that good team up is really good. But I don't think Hela herself is broken. I'm gonna keep her in short. Same with Hulk, for the same reasons as Angela, for the same reasons as Captain America. Torch, only certain parts of the kit. I don't think the flame fields that causes big area tick damage should be meta. That just leads to people sitting in the back, throwing fields, saying, hey, don't touch this, and then they have to respect that, and most of the characters in the game can't interact with it. Only hit scan characters. And as for tanks that we have hit scan characters, it's Deadpool, and I know there is one more that I can't think of that could hit him at that range. Probably Hood when he comes out, but still. And then for DPS, you've got a bunch of hit scans, but then after those hit scans, it's all projectile. Most of the DPS, I would say, aren't hit scan. Maybe. That's just a thought on my end. But then there's like 2, maybe 3 hit scan supports, so the only people who can really shoot him is about like a third of the roster. Over half of the roster probably wouldn't be able to interact with that playstyle, and that's not very good. Invis is sure. I hate the shield. Actually, I'm putting her in certain parts of the kit because we have seen the self shield. We have seen how good that self shield is and how good it, like, just how well it functions. And if the self shield is ever meta, I think that's bad. So certain parts of the kit. I want to put Iron Fist in short for the same reason as Hulk, for the same reason as Angela, Cap. I might go certain parts of the kit. You could convince me because I do think the block, like straight, we're not changing any effects or anything, straight numbers boost. If they put numbers into the block, like how often you get it and what it does, I think he could become really problematic just because he would feel impossible to kill, especially at any rank that's not like you play the game all the time, right? I play the game like 4 times a week because I've been working so much in college. I'll play it maybe 5 times a week, maybe for 2 hours, 3 hours max. And then if I get to stream, then I'll play like 4 hours a week streaming. But that's still only 14 hours a week if I'm not playing the game all the time. So I think he would become really interactable. But I do think he would still require, because then you wouldn't be buffing his damage, and knowing how they buff things, it would probably lower his damage for that, or lower the percentage-based damage. So I do think I'm going to put him in short. Now, I didn't give that grace to other characters, but at least you know how I feel about it. Iron Man is going to be certain parts of the kit. Now, there's not a lot of characters that I'm going to have in meta and never, because I think a lot of characters have options, but Iron Man's in never, because and then he's in certain parts, because same thing with Torch, his Unibeam, fine, that's fine, that's fine. But if his repulsors, right, if the repulsors become so good that they make him best in slot just through straight damage buffs, he could just sit 500 miles away, shoot at point. You can't interact with him. Most characters in the game can't interact with him, and he gets free picks, and he helps your team to get free picks because they can't look away to kill him because your team just pushes up, taking advantage of all the damage he's doing because he does that much damage. Jeff is going to be a sure. Certain parts of the kit because I don't think his damage should be. They lowered his damage fall off so that way you had to be closer to do more damage, and I think that was good. With straight numbers buffs, like they'd probably buff the healing, the damage, and no, because you can't buff the ultimate without reworking things, so probably not the ultimate. The healing and the damage is probably what it's going to do, and he survives really well. He has really good survivability. And if he just does that much damage, again, he would just tickle the enemy backline. While you dive, you could play Jeff and one other diver and just absolutely eviscerate the backline every single time. Because Jeff can just do that much damage and he doesn't lose out on healing to do that damage to them. And he can heal his divers through the enemy team. So I think the damage part of that beam is what keeps me from putting him in shore. Low key, give him 3 more shots on his right click. Take away the damage from the left click. And give us DPS Jeff back. Or lower the damage on the left click a little bit more. Because I think that'd be pretty cool. You only have 6 shots. Your survivability is still high, but it's not as high as it used to be. And increase the healing or something. I don't know. Whatever. I'm not going to say that I'm a game dev. I'm not going to be like, oh, this is how you need to change their abilities. I do think the damage and being able to tickle everybody on the team all at once, get ultimate super fast, is what keeps him from being, like, in my eyes, a good character to be meta. Loki, I think, is short because it really depends on your team, their team. Like, if they play Moon Knight, can't really play him. Just things like that. The runes have a really long cooldown. The lamps, the greens, I've heard them call a lot of different things. A lot of different things. And so I do think that's pretty cool. I think there's a lot of skill expression to be had with Loki. I think his skill ceiling is high enough. If I were to put him in certain parts of the kit, it would be the fact that he could do that much damage while healing and it's AoE. But so far, I think that you can balance him, like with straight balance numbers, straight balance buff. I don't think it's uninteractable. I just think most people don't know what to do about it. And again, I do kind of fall in that range. But I also have never lost to a bad Loki. Right? Whenever I lose to a Loki, it's not like they're hour 0 on the character. They've played the character a few times. Unfortunately. Putting her in shore. Certain parts of the kit, same area as Jeff, damage is too high. Fuck you, the damage is too high. You have a snowball with almost no startup that also travels super fast, that if you hit them short, gives her bonus health when she uses it. If you land the snowball, regardless of whether you get, it only gives you 50% bonus health if you hit it. Oh my goodness. Yeah, if you hit it, the diver's already lost the interaction, whether they take away 10 damage per shot or not. Well, 10 damage might be too much. I'm just spitballing. But like you just do that much damage. Yeah. Magic, high key, I want to put in never. I'm going to put it in sure, but I'm going to explain my thought process. And I wanted to put them in never at first simply because the fact that they are the perfect solo diver, right? You can solo queue on Magic and not have to. She has everything she needs to dive and dive solo, especially against uncoordinated teams and with uncoordinated teams. You don't need anyone else. If you give her a flat damage boost, or not damage boost, but like increase her numbers, so the bonus health generation, how much she can have, or the damage, or the cooldowns get reduced, I think she could become a real problem where she becomes a solo diver, where in the same vein that I thought Daredevil was able to. But she doesn't work against coordinated teams. Even if the two supports are coordinated on the same page, she doesn't work as well. It's why, same reason as Penny, she has a really high win rate, because Magic players are, one, good at her, and two, like, they're specialists and they play her all the way up through the ranks, and two, they know when to swap off. So, like, I kind of, because if you boost her numbers, she'll probably be a really good solo diver, and she shouldn't be a really good solo diver. But, there. I think I'm going to put it there. Mag is sure. If I had to rank these and I had the two categories again, he'd be above Strange. He'd be like, yes, it should be meta, because I think he takes more skill, he takes more team coordination, he takes more awareness of your surroundings, more abilities to cycle cooldowns. The Wanda team up is so good. And I do understand the benefit of having the Emma team up and how good that the Emma team up can be. But the Wanda is it's so consistent, and it gives you unlimited range, because even with Emma team up, you do have to play within that, I think it's 18 meters of range, something about that. I think it's 15 meters with a 3-meter explosion radius. But I think he takes a lot more skill. I think he's super skillful, especially at higher ranks, because I'm not very good at hitting my shots on Mag, but I'm good at knowing when to use my abilities, and that's what can hard carry me. The shots are harder to land than other characters. The abilities are not harder to use, but harder to master. Most people, like you Mag is fun because I protect my team in LeBron dunks. Then you hit the bell curve of Mag is boring. All I get to do is use my abilities in LeBron dunks. Then you get to the highest part where I see it. I see the inner machinations of the game. I know what's going to happen, how it's going to happen. I know what to do against it, how to do against it. You start acting preemptively. I've seen people like that. I am not like that, but I've seen people like that, and it's fucking awesome, dude. To watch that is so fucking cool. Mantis is a shore. Again, with Adam, I'm unfortunately going to say probably only going to be meta in triple support, but right now I think that's different, because I think the Star-Lord team up makes her pretty good in double support comps, and she takes skill shot because you need to hit headshots and it's not hit scan. Projectile, at least I've always thought, was harder to hit headshots, but people say like hit scan is the hardest thing to hit. I don't know, because I thought you had to. Well, I guess there's not really a lot of travel time in this game, but I do think she's pretty skillful. I think the only thing in her kit that isn't super skillful is the sleep, because it's AoE. But at the end of the day, it's not bad. Mr. Fantastic, I'm high key putting in never. Just because he's super easy, and it's like Wanda, right? You can make an easy or a bad character work at a higher rank, like Wanda. All the same things. You can make them work at higher ranks, and sure, it's hard to do that, but not because the character itself is hard, because it's just hard to get value out of them. And Mr. Fantastic, let's say we just buff his numbers, straight buff to all of his numbers. He's going to cleave the entire team. The only thing he wouldn't excel at is his ultimate. I think he's a bad character, but if you just buff like what they've been doing to Blade, where they just consistently keep upping his numbers until something cracks, if they do that to Mr. Fantastic, it's just gonna be Moon Knight, but even better. An even better Moon Knight where he just cleaves your entire team, does so much damage, never dies because you once you learn how to cycle cooldowns, which is again something you learn for every other character. It's not that Mr. Fantastic is unique in that. Sure, the way he does it is a little unique, but he's not super unique because you have to cycle cooldowns. Every character cycles cooldowns. But whatever. I just don't think the skill ceiling is there. Not yet. I think they need to give him something in his kit that raises the skill ceiling. Because once they do that, then they can make him meta and they can give him a skill ceiling. Because I don't think the skill ceiling is the highest in the game. I don't think it's very high at all. It's higher than other melee characters, but I don't think it. It's higher than other characters, but I don't think it's because it's not the lowest skill ceiling in the game. But I don't think it's the highest. I don't think Moon Knight should ever be meta. Because if you give him, like, and I'm just saying flat number boosts, I think if you do that to Moon Knight, you enter the problem of he gets free eats, he hits the entire team at once, no skill. Yes, sure, you have to aim the projectile, and it does more damage if you hit a headshot, but you can also just place an onk and throw 2 right clicks, or right click, left click, and people just die and explode. And so, yeah, sure. And he also gets his ultimate super fast. Already, if you buffed his numbers and made it to the point where he's best in slot, then he just gets his ultimate literally every fight. And that's also not good. And I don't think he should be meta. I think he should be good. When I put these characters in Never, I don't think that they should be unplayable. I'm just now realizing that's kind of what it sounds like. That's not what I think. I just think they shouldn't be meta. Penny Parker. I play this character. Bitch should never be meta. It would make the game hell for everybody else. I don't think there's a way you buff Penny where it doesn't make the game hell for other players. Because objectively, you pretty much have to buff the nest unless you buff her projectile, but then you buff a projectile that can headshot that has no reload, and you just spam it into people anyways. Why would you ever do that? I think if you buff her, it has to come from her mines, but if you buff her mines, you don't hit a breakpoint until you hit about 100 and adding 40 damage to it, which is 140 damage per mine, which in a stack of 2 is 280, which means you effectively give her an extra mine in her cooldown, like 2 extra mines. And then you can also just spam those. Your stacks get easier to use. Each individual mine becomes more impactful if you just throw a bunch in their backline, throw a bunch in your nest to stop divers. Like, you just make the game hell for everyone else. If you buff the nest, then it makes it even more rewarding to bunker down on Penny instead of taking off angles. It makes the off angles so much harder to challenge against a Penny, which I know that is the whole point of taking off angles, but in the current state, you can challenge Penny on an off angle. If you buff the healing in the webs, then it makes her team a raid boss, even though it doesn't do much for her, but the healing in the webs would make her team so much better. It's like having an Ultron on your team for no reason. Like, it's just, I don't think you should do it. I think it'd be bad. Certain parts of his kit. His left click, his right click, I think the squids are stupid and they shouldn't be meta. If the squids become so strong that he is meta, like they buff the squids, and that's what makes him that's what puts him in best in slot, I think that's bad. But if it's just the rest of his kit, that's fine. Because the squids, how they are, if they buff everything else but leave the squids the same, and he's best in slot, skill ceiling, take skill, whatever. The fact that you could just actually, yeah, no, the squids are just weird. I don't know how to feel about it. Because I kind of want to put him here, but I'm going to stick with my guns. I'm man of my word. Psylocke's a short. Takes skill for aiming, takes skill for cooldowns, takes skills for engages. Same thing as all the other divers. Takes coordination if you want the most value out of it. The Emma team up was broken. Now it's not broken anymore, but she's still good because she still benefits from all the things that gave her. Venom, I think, is a shore. He does exactly what a tank is supposed to do, for all the reasons that the other divers are here. Like, the only divers that I have here are the ones that are objectively not made very well. Even this guy, I thought maybe putting him here, but I only thought about that because his, like, you can go either way on the straight buffs, but realistically, he has a less chance of being a solo diver than any of these other characters, except maybe Magic, because Magic has everything a solo diver would need. Never. No, just don't. This character has no skill floor. It's literally bedrock. The core of the earth is the skill floor. If this character is meta, and that is his skill floor, that's insane work, because that means his skill ceiling probably didn't climb either. And so anybody with a functioning cortex, prefrontal cortex, who knows the basics of Rocket, knows how to play Rocket, is probably going to pop off anytime they play Rocket. And anybody who doesn't, and like let's say you're Diamond or below, right? I'm in GM right now, and I don't think that's a huge like, oh yes, I did it. I think that's like where most of the casual people play. And then Diamond is where also a lot of the casual people play. And then Plat and below is for people who just like to play Marvel characters every now and then. They probably hang out around there. So let's say Plat and below, right? They go crazy on this guy. Because he's got 2 dashes to get away with things. Every time he shoots to heal his team, he heals himself. So they're probably just going to play him and go crazy style. And no one's going to do anything about it. These two I think are fine. These two are I'm going to put these two here because I need to set a precedent that I do have complaints about them. So those two are there because they can become a solo diver really easily. These two cannot. And Spidey actually, I think, has the highest skill ceiling in the game with like an infinite skill ceiling. This guy could be as skillful as you make him. And that's really cool. And because of that, sure, he can be meta, because if he's meta, it's not like low ranks are going to pick him up and just feast, or he's going to make your game miserable. If he makes your game miserable, he's going to make your game miserable for like 5 days, and then he's going to climb, because their skill ceiling is at that point where they can be GM, and they just need to get there. Like, if you're not a high rank on Spidey, it's not your team for the most part. I mean, I guess there's scenarios where it probably is your team, but overall, you would still be climbing if you were like that good. He has an infinite skill ceiling. You can just go crazy. No, bro. No. Unless they rework this bitch. I understand characters should be easy to get into the game with. I hate her. No fall off damage. Bounces. Doesn't have to look at you. Has a stun that holds you still. Shuts off all your movement at the CC, and then another CC. So makes her really good against dive, because you can stand near your support. If now let's say you can aim and you're not using her as a crutch, so you don't have to aim. Let's say you can aim. You Venom or Rogue, they dive. Hell, I've seen someone do it on a Psylocke, and I go, damn, that's disgusting. You just hit them with the stun, bam, bam, dead. Oh, if they didn't die from that, hold up, I got a second stun for you. Bam, bam, dead. And then I go back to just shooting down main, and I am hitting their supports, and I am hitting their tanks, and I am hitting a DPS. Like, I'm not even thinking about it either. She's so easy. If they boost her numbers, I think she becomes broken. Right now, I think she's in a good spot where she's playable, but she's not busted. Especially with the new team-ups, I think she's playable, but I don't think she's busted. I think anybody who makes her look busted has skill, and they would probably make other characters look more disgusting, and they'd be better on other characters because they can just apply the skills from Squirrel Girl to better characters. It's characters that require more skill. Star-Lord is... Oh, where did I put him? Here. I don't like the ammo buff. I don't think he needed it. Don't think he needed it at all, because you can now, like, one clip 275, I'm pretty sure, without any headshots. But that's if you hit every bullet. No, you have like 10... You have a few bullets left over, and even if it takes every bullet, sure, some of those bullets are going to be headshots. The fact that, like, you had to hit every shot multiple times or be creative dashing around people, I thought that's what made him good. With this buff, I think it was crazy, but I do still think he requires a pretty good skill ceiling that he could be meta, even with more, if they buff him to the point where he's best in slot. I think he could be meta. The only thing I don't like about his kit right now that I think shouldn't be meta is the stupid group team up. Not that it's stupid, not that he has it so often. genuinely increase the cooldown on that shit. It pisses me off. I feel like every 10 seconds he's throwing that out, and it's a CC that can hit you multiple times, that hits your team. It pretty much tells me I can't walk there, which, it's fair. It's a zoning tool. It's fine. And if you throw it on people, it helps you finish off kills. That's fine. Why is it only 10? Why is it so low of a cooldown? Why is the cooldown so low? Fuck that shit. Stop throwing it at me so goddamn often. He just throws it into the middle of the team, feeling like every 10 seconds. There's no way that cooldown is more than 15 seconds. I haven't played it. I haven't tested it. I don't know. I just know it pisses me off. Storm. The only way I can see Storm being healthy for the game while being meta is if you really fuck up her damage and speed boost. And by fuck them up, I mean down to the floor. Because let's say her base kit outside of that is meta, and you play her for her base kit. Well, her base kit is a projectile chains between people. Her right click is hit scan, it also chains between people. She has a team up that makes her hit scan. I don't know if that chains between people, but it does make her hit scan. She gives passive damage boost to her entire team, or passive speed boost, probably damage boost, it's more useful. And then you can increase the damage boost. Oh, she also increases damage boost herself, but that's kind of normal damage, so whatever. But then you can also increase your damage boost, both to yourself and your team, and anybody who comes into your zone gets damaged. Oh, there's a lot going on there. If we also boost the damage boost, buff like her damage boost, that's a real big problem, and it's not healthy for the game. Everyone just plays Storm, because Storm plays low to the ground, like a normal character. It's not like you have to learn special positioning, because she doesn't play like a flyer like Human Torch or any of the other flyers. Iron Man, Ultron that's down here, where you want to play higher up, and you have to find cover within the buildings and stuff, so you can play higher up. You want to play near your team so you can give them the stat boost. If that stat boost is too good, she is just too good, like she was in Season 0. I think you can make her base kit pretty good, because she doesn't do nearly as much damage as Moon Knight, even though it does chain between people. But that damage boost just can't do it, man. It'd just be terrible, terrible game experience. He should never be meta. He's just too easy. Same thing as Squirrel Girl, same thing as Rocket, same thing as Wanda, same thing as Mr. Fantastic, same thing as Moon Knight, without giving him a higher skill ceiling. And that would be a change, not a straight buff. I just don't see it possible. I don't see it in a way where that's healthy for the game. He's just too easy. Bucky, I'm going to say sure. And I'm going to say sure because you can already see this with the Elsa team up. He makes the game miserable for the enemy team because of how fast he gets his cooldowns. And so I think if you make him meta, you have to make it the gun or like the damage or the bonus health of things. You can't make it how fast he gets things, and if you do, you should, even if he's best in slot afterwards, you've got to increase the cooldown of some of his abilities, because especially with that Elsa one, it goes insano style. How often he's able to throw the red orbs out, how often he's able to hook you, how often he's able to dash. It's just insane. I feel like sometimes it's on a 10-second cooldown. I could have sworn, I think it is 12, but then it becomes, I think with Elsa you can get it down to 8 seconds, and that's pretty short. That's a pretty short amount of time, and it just makes the game experience kind of miserable. But other than that, I think Bucky's fine. Outside of like that Elsa team up in specifics, and right now I don't think he's broken. Obviously, I don't think he's crazy broken right now, but I do think I think that's a problem. So you saw I put him in sure. I mean, I got nothing unique to say for him. Jack of all trades. He can do everything. He can play anti-dive. He can play dive. He can play brawl. He can play frontline poke, kinda. You just have to know when to do it, how to do it, how you're going to do it. I don't think the Hela team-up is crazy strong. He kind of just dies if you don't interact with him. I don't think the Angela team-up is crazy strong. It just helps you cycle Thor Force better. Yeah, I think he's pretty balanced. I think he's got a pretty high skill ceiling. I think even if you buff his numbers and make him best in slot because his numbers are so high, he still takes enough skill that he doesn't just run lower lobbies. I mean, I guess depending on what part of the kit you buff. But realistically, even if you buff like Thor Force, you make Thor Force so good that you just become a Thor Force spot. People in lower ranks don't know how to be a Thor Force spot. I think it's been a while since I played in those ranks, but I would think. I'm gonna put Ultron up here. And I know Leak, I'm making this for you because you asked for it, but you're gonna be mad at that. I think the passive healing is a problem. Like they could, actually, done there. Certain parts of the kit, you cannot make him meta for his healing. His healing should stay exactly how it is, no matter what. Maybe increase the penny, because the penny team up, make that just the normal drone healing instead of just, because it doesn't last for a long time. It just stays there for like half a second. So I think that'd be fine if you made it like that. But currently, his healing should never get increased because it's AFK healing. You don't have to think about it. You hit multiple people on your team with it at all times. And he has a damage boost that's tied to it. The damage boost is the only thing I think about when I play Ultron, and I still walk people down. Even in GM lobbies, I can still walk people down. The problem is that it's AFK healing and you don't have to think about it. If you buff the DPS parts of his kit, I'm fine with it. Just, you can't really buff that healing part of it because then he just becomes super oppressive. You play 3 supports, or even if you make him meta so that way his healing is in a spot where you can play him in 2 support, you play him in 2 support and now you have 3 DPS on your team. You have 2 tanks, 3 DPS, and 2 supports for no trade-off. He does a lot of damage. He does a lot of consistent pressure. Has a really good ultimate, both for DPS and for boosting people back up to full health. I've done both in a single ultimate. If you increase that AFK healing, the sheer fact that it's AFK healing, and you don't have to think about it, it just AFKs itself, and that he has a damage boost, you are only gaining stuff from having him on your team, especially in a triple support comp. And so I don't think you can increase the healing. I think it can be meta, but never for the healing. Maybe for the damage boost, maybe for the damage, but not for the healing. It would just break the game. It would be so unfun to play against. He would be in every single game. It's not hard to do that much healing on Ultron. And I know it's like, oh, but I got the most healing on Ultron. Mathematically, you're going to, because you are always healing. You're always healing somebody, and you're always healing for less or just barely more than the amount of damage that's being done to them. And because of that, it takes you longer to get them to full health, which means you get the stat pad more. It's math. It does make sense, I swear. I'll link you a video if you need it. But I think White Fox can be. I think White Fox can be. I mean, I don't really... My brain is kind of fried. I've been talking about this for 52 minutes. Same thing that I've said about everyone else. Has a high enough skill ceiling. I think in this current... I think she's kind of bad right now just because she doesn't do anything well enough. And for all of these, I'm putting them in. They all require coordination. They all have their certain niche. Even when she's good, she's only good against and with Brawl because she doesn't do enough healing with her left click to out-heal poke. So I think she's good. I think she's good. I'm going to put her here. Actually, I think the Hood team up, if you buff her, I think there's just a chance she does so much damage that she becomes a DPS and you just walk them down, especially with the orbs and being able to put vulnerability on anybody you see because you can just explode the orb, especially with the amount of damage they're doing. Even if they pump heals into them, you just pump damage into them, get your orb to full, bam, vulnerability with the Hood team up, and then they're dead, right? I do think Wolf can be good. I do think he takes... I think he is interactable, and he has a skill ceiling. And he makes the game hell, kind of. It makes it hell for the tank because the tank themselves can't do anything about it. But it's not fair to say there's no counterplay. The counterplay just comes from the rest of your team, and you have to hope and pray to God that they do it. There's very little counterplay within the tank role themselves. But yeah. Give me one thing. Oh. Add row below. Great. Yeah, I think that's it. I think that's the objective 2 list. It's not really a tier list. Just used as a visual. Alright. I'm gonna go shit my brains out. I'll see y'all later.